Always Flowers Boho Style printable papers are the feature throughout this spiral art journal. But today's spread is really all about the magnets and our handmade coins and washers used to make the clasps. Welcome to PM Artist Studio. I am Mariah, the M in PM. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe, and thank you for watching. I have been so excited about showing this spread. So what I did to start out with, and I love doing this, I've done it a couple of times on other journals and in other projects, is taking one piece of paper, gluing it down, and then splitting it between either the pages, or we did a journal where it was the entire back side of the accordion journal. I think it's a really cool effect, and I wanted a spread that was going to give that, like, the two pages were one type feel, which usually happens with most of them anyway, but this is one way to kind of give a little bit of an illusion that things kind of, where are they beginning and where are they ending? I like that, especially since it is going to be bound with the spiral in the middle. So this particular, the flower or the leaf paper in the middle is from the boho set, the Always Flowers boho set. The metallic one that you saw me just glue down there was printed from the Cloudy Seaside. And this particular piece that you see me kind of doing the torn edge and splitting apart there is just, you can really tell from the backside, is more of our lovely catch paper that P then did. She's like, it's really cool. Then she added, more paint and things on top of it, almost in a jelly print style, but this was before we were jelly printing. So probably more brush done with a brush or maybe even just a roller. And then it was Mod Podged. So that's why it has that nice kind of glossy finish to it. One of the other elements I wanted to bring into this spread for sure is this lovely, lovely silk sari end. P ordered a bundle of them, and this green one I have just had my eye on for a while, and it went so well with the pinks, and then you have that minty color going into the teals. They all really flow very nice together. And one of the other things obviously you see here is that these lovely washers and coins, that's what we call them. They really were just stuff that we cut out from, I believe it was Bristol board, because it's a little heavier than regular cardstock and works wonderfully to take a lot of different mixed media. And these were then alcohol inked, run through the embosser. Some are Mod Podge, some have three-dimensional Mod Podge on them. They are just a very mixed media bunch of coins and washers, but they're all paper. And the reason they're very, very shiny is some of the inks that P used to make them are I can't remember exactly what the brand is, but they have the very shiny, which gets everywhere. If you do not like glitter, they are not the inks for you, but we do not mind it. So I love using this stuff. And I don't mind that it kind of rubs off on a lot of other things. So now that I have some of the washers picked out for this particular spread, you see me now bringing in the actual magnets. This is where the magic is going to happen. And I already have the tag made. You will see those videos coming up in a later upload, because I just wanted to keep this to the spread. And again, just last minute decision on, I probably could have made this video twice as long in the sorting and playing with which of the washers and coins were the right ones. And I wasn't sure how the sari was going to glue down. We had done it once before on another journal, and it darkened a lot. I knew this was a little, obviously, lighter minty color, but you can see around the edge, it did still darken quite a bit. But that wasn't going to be a big deal with how I was using it. If you don't want that to darken, then the double-sided tape, and I'm sure there's probably other adhesives that probably would work a little bit better. If you know of one, comment below. And if you're finding value in this video, please, subscribe. We do this quite often, and we've even been doing live sessions lately. So something to keep in mind. We're always uploading or hanging out with you guys live. Now you can see I'm just using one of the smaller little coin pieces that P said, please don't make me make any of these anymore because they are just tiny. Although I did request that we should be making more of them to use as the front connection point to the magnet, along with more sari. It works wonderfully with the magnet. That's been one of my kind of frustrations a little bit with working with the magnet sometimes with the paper, is that they don't always glue down as quickly and create that connection like you would want with the magnets. The fabric, especially since this is pretty lightweight, with it being the silk, was perfect, and I could mold it around the magnet and almost really like just make it part of the connection, or part of the coin piece, versus just kind of something glued on top of. And I was so pleased with how that turned out. I can just see me testing it out, going, all right, yeah, I'm very excited about how that turned out, which I really was, because I had this idea about this, and I've been thinking about it for a while, and I needed a journal that was going to be a bit larger than the accordion style that I typically make. I probably could have done it smaller, but I think for something like this, it needed a bit of a larger stage. And one of the reasons I kept the page very simple, because I want that to be the focus. And I thought it would be a cool place, like you can tuck other pieces of paper behind it. Again, like I had mentioned in the last video about this particular journal being one that I plan on using and already have written some things in. So little strips of paper, you can even see I was kind of testing one out there through the washer. Using those to create little quotes or inspiration that can be tucked in and clasped on via the magnet. And there was a lot of fiddling, I guess, around with different little pieces and parts, and how each one was going to be unique in itself, but still part of the group. And that's kind of always one of those things that when you're starting a journal, or even just starting a new page or anything, that if you keep it simple and have something like color or the thread, or just keep it to those simple elements, that cohesiveness typically will continue. As long as you are keeping to the color or to some of the materials being used, you're automatically going to have that nice cohesiveness. Now, I was trying out a few little other things. Like I said, I wanted each one of these to be different, and I still wanted to continue to use the threads, the yarn, and the different textile parts, and to continue using the sari end to sort of hide my magnets, but yet keep it a soft piece to the journal. And with that being said, I wanted there to be this, it's really nice with the smoothness of the paper, and then you have texture that is brought in with the fabric, the sari. And here you can even see the magnets through the sari, which is kind of funny because when you look at it in person, that is less noticeable. But I think because of the lighting, it's kind of great for explaining in the video, but it is less noticeable when you are looking at it in hand. Plus the fact that technically you will always be putting something over those. Because as I had stated, my whole thought to use these is to put little pieces of paper behind them and use them as clasps. So that wasn't a worry to me. I really liked the parts that showed through more than worrying about that the magnets were still kind of bumpy. Now I think if you wanted to bring in additional sari or even more of the yarn and things, you could probably hide them even more so. But keeping in mind that you need to have enough of the magnet, you know, not too many things, too many layers in between the two magnets. And I like using two magnets because they do then connect a bit better. You could, if you had certain metals, obviously, you could connect to those as well. I've been thinking about that, but haven't quite worked that one out yet. Just, I wanted that one to have the sari show through from the top piece and then close it on the back. And this is also about the time I figured out, I'm like, you know, what I should do is make these usable from both sides. Because I really didn't pay much attention to making sure that all of the magnets were one way. Meaning they could be flip-flopped around, or that there was going to be variation between, you know, the positive and negative and all of that. This is about the time that P would tell me that she's glazing over and is really not interested. But it is something to consider. Like if you did want to make only a front view of the magnets or the little clasps, you would want and still be able to move them around. Make sure that they are all connecting exactly the same direction. I hope I explained that properly. So one of the things that I absolutely just love about this furry yarn stuff is that it is just so fluffy, and I don't know, those of you that remember Fraggle Rock, it just really brings me happy joy moments thinking about that. And I like the idea of these furry bits coming out almost in just little rays of sunshine, or like Fraggles, you know, Muppets, things of that nature. Happy fluffy things. Now here's where I wanted to demonstrate that whole idea of what I was talking about. Like that you could take little strips of paper that either you write something inspirational on, or quotes, or whatever it is, even found little words, and you could move them around. Because I was thinking about that, is using it kind of like one of those magnet boards that people, you can make the little poems out of. It could be interesting like that. And then that little piece was driving me absolutely crazy. So I brought in a smaller strip of the double-sided tape and stuck it down. Now here we are moving on into the third little claspy coin magnet thing. And like I said, I spent a ton of time moving bits about. I think, you know, I would have some of them picked out, but then I would get one done, and then I was like, oh, okay, well now I need to bring in possibly this, or, you know, I needed a little more of this color. One of our newfound friends sent this in a Happy Mail package. Peg from Two Old Crows. Should check out her channel. She does some really cool stuff. She just did a very nifty thing with some copper. She sent this lovely, and it feels so yummy. I would say that I don't think it's wool. Maybe she'll come back and watch the video and comment below on what exactly that lovely, yummy yarn is. But you can see that bit of purple hinted in there. which was so wonderful because, again, throughout the journal, not only on this spread, but there's these little hints of that almost mulberry to purplish colors, that whole rainbow thing. You couldn't go wrong in this journal because like every color's there. It was pastel-y and almost even into these darker colors. It's one of the great things about doing. It's hard when you try to stick to a more monochromatic color scheme. Something like this is very easy. I kept finding rainbow things to be able to put in here. So that was so cool. And I was trying to figure out, okay, well, is this one going to flip back and forth, or which ones would stack? And then that's the other thing, is they actually stack on top of each other. So if you wanted to just do 2 or 3 and then stack them on top of each other, they would then, it's really fun to play with, and you would be able to stack words or whatever it is that you want to tuck into those spots. Now, it was getting a little bit wonky, so kind of using a hole punched little spacer. Plus, I needed to bring in a little bit more of that periwinkle-ish purple to break up the color of the just straight minty green that you saw me use with the Chocola markers, acrylic markers. Going through the yarns, just figuring out which one was going to make the most sense. And I've been wanting to use this particular yarn, and I guess it's yarn. I don't know. See, I don't know enough about the textile stuff. I do apologize. If you want, correct me below, please. I'm all for it. I'm sure there's a particular name for this type of yarn. But I thought it was really cool because it was like little dangly arms. And then by putting the one square in the middle, it showed through just enough there in the smaller coin. I also liked the idea of these being, if you're familiar with coins and ancient coins, some have holes in them. I think like there's Chinese money that does. And then there are tons of reasons why behind money having holes, but I did a little research. I was curious. But I liked that idea too, is that these have a jingly, but yet they aren't, kind of idea behind them. That there's value and weight to them. And the magnets actually do give them a little bit of weight. There was also a nice thought behind this being, because it is my boho kind of gypsy-like journal, that the coins that you see them dangling from scarves and things of that nature kind of had that feel with it as well. And then I did come back in with various ones and touch up with marker here and there, a little cleaning up of the glue. These Chocola markers were really, really great. They go so well with all of the colors that we put into our printable papers. And I'll have a link below if you are interested in this particular set of papers. I think I will link to the Cloudy Seaside as well, because remember, that is the one that I printed on the metallic paper and has that wavy, watery feel to it. That's a great set. And what I'm starting to find out is that there are papers that we have in various sets that they really work well with one another. And it wasn't anything that I intentionally planned, but just like here, you see the blues and that flowy water feel from the leafy pattern from the boho set all the way to the Cloudy Seaside set. It's really, that makes me happy. I wish I would have planned that intentionally, but I didn't. And because there are signature patterns within the sets, that's one of the reasons that you get that flow. And I didn't do much altering to the papers themselves in this particular spread, but a lot of times I will. And what we encourage others to do, if you want to bring in and highlight things or even do printing on top of them, meaning with a jelly plate or just with paints, they are great to do mixed media with. So in this particular coin, I wanted to make sure, and yes, I did. I fluffed out every one of those because there were a couple that glued down. So I wanted to make sure that each and every one of them was showing through because I wanted that fluffy bit. Like I said, I keep saying Fraggles. It's just very fraggly. And layering with the coins, which I struggled with. I was like, some of them are just so beautiful and I love them so much as is, but I wanted to be consistent with how I was creating those. So, this was one great thing about using the double-sided tape. As you saw me there, I had to adjust because this one became a little bit bigger than what I had originally planned. So, because I had put the strip of double-sided tape down and then put the magnet, I was able to move the magnet around, which was perfect. And now you can see I was even adjusting there to see where it was going to hit on the actual coin. So I didn't have to, it didn't necessarily have to be in the center like a lot of the other ones were. Just trimming up one of the smaller coins to fit that particular one. And I wanted to repeat that sort of limey green that you see from the tag page to this page. It starts at the top of that coin all the way then down to the bottom, helping bring your whole, it keeps you in that fluid movement with your eye. Again, goes back to consistency and having a common element or common elements. And because these are complementary colors in a lot of ways, the pinks and the greens, because you're talking red and green. There's a lot of color theory that could be talked about with all of this, but generally speaking, they are very lovely complementary colors. That is one of the reasons everything melds very nicely. I struggled with that one. It was just too solid. So I kept coming back and just touching it up a little bit, kind of getting it more grungy versus just this green dot, because that's what I kept seeing. But it needed to be there and have a little bit of that on there to, again, like what I was saying, continue back around. Doing a little more marker work, grunging it up, using the purple to tone it down, but still keep a little bit of that green there. One last little moment of play. See everything is working, drying. A little more touch up. And this pretty much kind of finishes up this magnet spread for the boho journal. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. We're gonna go into here. Here is the final bound spread. You can see the tag, and on that tag it was sprayed on the backside. Again, that video will be coming around later to see exactly how it was made, and just a little bit more play on how those magnets can be flipped and moved around. So much play, so much fun. I'm just really excited about this one. They're cool to stack and just so much fun to play with. I love the interactiveness of this. Again, guys, thank you again for watching. If you liked this video, please click below, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, click the bell. We do this each week. Thank you again.